My salutations to all of you watching this tutorial right now. As I had promised in the last tutorial, which was the learning of the alphanumeric addresses that are placed in some chessboards to see the position or to stay the position of a particular piece that might be there. Today, as I promised, this tutorial is going to be about openings in chess. Now, what's an opening in chess? When you hear the word opening, you think about opening your door. Opening in chess are the initial move of pieces to start a game. So it's the commencement of a chess game. And there are two players in chess. There are two players. And one has the white pieces like this one here, and the other one has the black pieces like there. So the white pieces always in chess begin a game. The white pieces play the opening first, and the black pieces reply to whatever move that the white pieces player has done. So there are, as I explained in the first tutorial, there are 32 pieces, 16 for the whites and 16 for the blacks. Now, what's the determination that a player with the white pieces does? How he begins? There, the options are there are 8 pawns in the front, in the second row for the whites, and there are 8 pawns for the blacks in the 7th row. In addition, those are the pieces that can, one of these pieces is the one that can be moved. A pawn can be moved, any of the 8 pawns for the white can move, any of the 8 pawns for the blacks can reply the move of this. And the other pieces that can be moved when you start the game from the beginning, when the beginning is when you start everything. The other 4 pieces that can be moved are what I call the officers. No, the officers pieces, the pieces of great value, which are right here, and the whites are in the first row, and the blacks are in the 8th row here. So that's where the rooks, the knights, the bishops, the king, the queen are. That's the two rooks, one on each side. One for the whites is in the position 1-8 and 1-H. And the 2 knights, which is for the whites, is the 1B position and the 1G. And for the bishops, so for the white bishops, the IC, for the bishop on the left side, and the 1F for the bishop on the right side, and then the 1D is occupied by the king in the first row, and the queen is occupying the 1E. So when beginning the game, in the first movement, that a person does, the player does, the options are to move any of the 8 pawns. One of these 8 pawns can be moved because it's free to move. You see, there's nothing on the front. There is nothing here in the row that impede this pawn here in the first column to move, which is the rook columns. So there's nothing impeding him to move, so he can move, or the any of the other pawns. The pawn in front of the knight, the pawn in front of the rook here, or the pawn in front of the king, or the pawn in front of the queen, or the pawn in front of the other bishop, or the pawn in front of the other knight, or the pawn in front of the rook. So either of these pawns can move, and the reply can be the same. For the blacks, they can move any of those pawns in front. The other two pieces in each side, for the blacks and for the whites and for the blacks, the other two pieces that can be moved at the commencement of the game, just starting the game, are the four knights, the two knights for the white, and the two knights for the black. So they can move because they can jump. Knights are allowed, as I explained before in the last video about the alphanumeric board. The addressing in the board are alphanumeric. It use numbers and letters. That's why it's called alphanumeric. The other pieces are the knights. They can jump. They only have two positions they can go to. This white horse here, this white knight, it can go to the 3A, the alphanumeric 3A position right here. It goes atop. You can say it can go atop the pawn here in the 2B position. It can go atop it, or it can go to the right, or you can go atop the rook and then land in the 3A, so 3A position, or it can go atop the 2B pawn and go to the right, to the 3C position, right there. And for the knight on the right side, which is occupying the IG square, which is occupying also the black square. This is black square is occupying right now, and this other knight that I moved before was occupying the 1B position, which is white. That's the knight on the right side, on the left side, that was occupying the 1B position, and the square is white. For the other knight, the square is black. The other white knight, the square occupying is 1F, the 1G, and it's a black square. As you can see right there, right here. Okay, so when and the same applies to the for the blacks. They can use the 8 pawns, one of the 8 pawns, and make the first move the piece for the first time. When you're starting a game, you move one piece. Now, if one player or both players decide to move one of their pawns, the pawns, when I explained movement yesterday, when I explained the move they can do at the beginning of a game, the pawn can be like this pawn here in front of the king. This pawn here in the 2D position, which is the column 4 and the second row. That's a 2D position. This pawn can go one space ahead of him and can go to the 3D, which is in front of him. If free, that place can go there. But at the beginning of a game, the pawns have the option, and that's just at the beginning of the game, not later on. Later on, after the first move, the pawn cannot move but one space. But at the beginning, they can go 2 spaces. So this pawn can go from 3D and go farther to the 4D position. and be there. And at the beginning, some players they start with the some players they start with the they try to well let's say that you can start also by moving the pawn in the 2B position, which is the pawn in front of the left knight. So you can move the pawn one position. Usually you don't move that 2 position because later on I explain the reason why, but they can move this. Now, why this piece will, while this piece in the 2B position, while this pawn will move to the 3B position, was the reason for that. The reason is later on the second chance that the player has the white player has to move a piece. He can get this once this pawn is moved here. This bishop. Remember, I told you that bishops cannot jump like knights. No piece other than the knight can jump above a piece. They have to have an opening, or they have to have an opponent piece there, and they can move and take that piece. But other than that, they cannot jump. So they have to have an opening to start the game, or to start playing, no? Or to go through the final. They have to have an opening. The bishop have to have an open diagonal. So this bishop can, in the next round, when they play his second move, this bishop can move from the rest position, the home position, which is 1C, he can move to 2G, which is where the pawn, the white pawn was before. And the first move that he made was in 2G. From there, he moved to 3B right here. 3B. It was so that can be an opening as well. This in the first piece that the white move, they can be this pawn to from 2B to 3G, or he can do to the other side, to the right side of the board, and in the pawn that is in front of this knight, which is in the IG position, this pawn can do the same and move the same that I explained in the pawn on the left side. This pawn can move to 3G, which is the third column, and 3G is the third column, the seventh column, and the 3 row. So this is the 3 row, the 3rd row, and this is the 7th column. So you can go there, basically planning in the same. So later on, the second move, he can get the bishop to come to 2G, which is in front of the knight, right there, and it's protected there. Or he can take the bishop all the way down to the utmost column, which is the A column, and it can go to 3H, which is this one here, 3H, which is the column where the rook is. The right rook is in that column right there. But the rook cannot move. It has a pawn in front of it, and it has a knight on the side. So those are white knights, white pawn. The rook is white, cannot move there to that space. The rook, for the time being, is trapped. It cannot move. So these are the initial moves that can be done with either one of the A pawns in the home position. The home position is the position when you plan to start a game that you haven't moved any pieces. That's the home position. So the home position for the whites, for the pawns, the second row, this one here, and the column belongs to. So those are where the pawns are. And for the blacks, the home position is the 7th row, and the one of the A columns that they have, which are 8 columns they have to be resting. So let's say that the player having the white pieces is going to make his first move, and he or she decides that he's going to move, which is very customary to do this, very usual to move the either the pawn that is in front of the king, which is this one here, or move that pawn is in the 2D position, or move this pawn here, which is in the 2E position, and that pawn is in front of the queen. So it's very customary to start the game, especially for the player that Greeny that started the game, but also the professional player do that, a master do that also. They move. Now at the beginning, chess is a game of strategy. Chess is the most intellectual. I would say this. Chess is the most intellectual game that you can find. There is no other game where you use your reasoning, where you use your brain to figure out where you're gonna be. Later on in another tutorial, I will explain this further. But the objectives of the game, the chess game, is to dominate the enemy or the opponent in such a way that you start losing pieces more than you do. And the pieces are soldiers. The pieces are enemy combatants. So you need to, chess symbolizes two armies or two kingdoms. Two kings are fighting with his army to the other army. And like in any war, you have to try to get advantage. And the player that started taking more pieces of the opponent that he loses, that usually win the game at the end. The objective is deprive the opponent king of the forces defending him. So there are the A pawns that are defending the king, which is they represent regular soldiers in an army. Regular soldiers, they have no ranking, just soldiers. So pawns represent those regular soldiers, and then the king has officers, so ranking officers. That are the rooks, the knights, and the bishop, and the highest ranking officer that the king, the two kings had, the white king and the black king, are the two queens. Those ladies try to defend their man with all they can. They use all their nails and heels to defend their man to death. Those are the most formidable and fear pieces in a chess game. So any of the two players are, if they haven't taken down the queen, they are just trying to find ways of taking her down, because she's the most dangerous piece, the one that can move like rooks in columns, and it can move in rows all the way. No limitation. As long as they have the space free, they can move from. They can move from one square to the 8 squares if necessary, and do this. And the queen can move as bishop, so they have the power to have freedom of motion in the battlefield, which is the chessboard. On the other hand, the queen has limitation. The only limitation the queen has, she cannot move like a horse, like a knight. She cannot move like a caballo. They call knights in Spanish caballo. She cannot move like a caballo, like a knight. She don't have the option to jump above a piece, no, and go to the other side like knights do. The knights can jump above a black piece, or they can jump above one of their pieces. No, is the knight is a white piece is knight. He can jump above his own pieces. He got a pawn, white pawn in front of it. He can jump and go to the and do the L turn. All knights always they don't go straight. They go in an L, 3 and 1, or 1 and 3, and that's how they play in the game. So this is the one limitation which the queen has, or the two queens have. They cannot jump like horses, but they have the option of moving when there is their turn to play, to move. They had the option of doing any other. They can go in diagonals, in columns, in rows, whatever. So that's why they are so formidable and fear in the game. So at the commencement of the game, even the great master in chess, at the beginning when they are moved, the first time they're going to move, they don't have a great idea of how the game is going to develop. There are some traditions and there are some experience that have been acquired in chess throughout the years, throughout the centuries that chess have been playing in the world. And those experiences tell the players that they shouldn't try to start the game with any of the pawns that in front of the rooks. No, like this one here is in the 2A position for the white rook, which is in the 1A position. So this pawn here in the 2A position can go 1 square or 2 square at the beginning, the first move in chess. Later on, they go just one square at a time. But at the beginning, they can go 2 squares, or they can decide to go just 1. But just beginner players do that. They usually don't start the first piece that way. And later, when we start actually playing games, I will explain to you the reason why. But it's at the beginning we try to get the knights out and the bishop out, and those are really good fighters. They can move quickly. So we try to make a space when we're playing a game. We try to open a space for the rooks and for the bishop or the knights. So the knights, as I said before, they don't need to have any opening because they can jump about it. So, but the bishops, they are trapped. So the players try to open space for the second time when they have to move. They can bring their bishop there, or later on. They don't have to do it in the second time. So at the beginning of the game, there is not a great strategy. There are just tradition and experience throughout that tradition. So most players open either with the king pawn or in the 2D position for the whites, or the queen pawn in the 2E position for the whites. They move, and from there on they wait for the answer from their opponent, the black pieces, to see what move they do. And in most game when one player, the player with the white pieces move 2 spaces to let's say to the 4D position right here, the opponent player responds with the same. So he move his pawn to the 5D position. And the reason they do that is, first of all, to start developing the game, to start opening. Now, when I move my pawn in the 2D position to the 4th position, I open this bishop here. So this bishop can move all the way down not to here, because if he move there, it's a major error, because this pawn here and the black pawn will take it, because the pawn, remember I told you the pawns take pieces in diagonal. They cannot take a piece that is in front of them, but they do in diagonal. That's how, when they take the piece, they eliminate the piece, and the piece is out of the battlefield, out of the chessboard. That piece is no longer will be used in that game. It's out. So, but let's say that there's the novice player just moved, and he moved to the 6H position, which is the column of the rooks, and the third row. So he can move there. Most of the time, at the beginning, the second move that the whites can do after they had this game here, the initial game here with the 2 pawns moving to 2 spaces each and blocking each other, so that each other, at this point in the game, nobody has the advantage. Nobody has dominance over the other opponent, so they're just starting a game, trying to develop it. So in the second move, the white can do the bishop thing, and they usually put it here in the 4F position. Now, why they put it there in the first position? The objective of the game is try to get dominance in the battlefield in the game. So when this bishop came here, it did 2 things. He just left his own position and went out to the battlefield to see what happened with the enemy, so the opponents. And now when this bishop is right here in the 4th position, it's in direct attack to the 7C square, which is when this pawn, the black pawn is. So what happened is the rook can later take this pawn if he has another piece that is right there, and he can checkmate the king, and the game is over. So he's trying to do that, and that happened very frequently with beginners players. They try to do that thing in chess master. That never happened. You take it. You take that pawn there, and usually it can be supported by one of his white. That this in this white knight is right here in the 5B position. Okay, this white is attacking exactly the same spot that the white rook is attacking this pawn here, which is in the 7 position, in the 7 square, in the alphanumeric address of 7C. So he's attacking that place there. So both the knight, the white knight, and the bishop, the white bishop, are attacking that position 7C. Why so critical they are trying to attack that place is because if the black fall asleep for some reason and do any move other than protecting their king, and let's say that this prospective, this latent attack to checkmate the king, and the king will be checkmate, and later we'll explain about checks and checkmates. Those are the objectives for the greatest objectives of the chess matches, to checkmate. When you checkmate the opponent king, and you only can checkmate the king. The other pieces can be taken out of the place, but it's not called checkmate. The king is the capture the king, and taking him out of the game is the primordial, most greatest objective of playing chess. That's what the game is all about. So let's say that the blacks. So let's say that the game is in in this order right now. This white king is attacking the 7C position, and the white bishop is attacking the 7C position. There is a latent or expected checkmate if the black pieces do other thing that protecting that place here, so the king don't be checkmate. So, but let's say that the black pieces fall asleep or not paying attention. What happened to players that are not experienced, and the black pieces play like the 7G pawn, the pawn that is in the 7G square, the same position, and play to the 6 and the 6G position. Okay, so on the 7G, I come to the 6th position and do this, hoping that they can later on bring the bishop here and attack this pawn, start attacking this pawn here. Okay, so the queen, the bishop, the black bishop in the AF position come to the 7G position. Now the white had to play, and there is a mate. This position here in the 7C where this pawn is, it was weak. It's weak. It has been attacked by two pieces there. So the way that the game will start being won is this. It will be if the bishop come here and take this pawn. The white bishop come here, this pawn. It's checkmate. It's not checkmating, but it's checking the king. The king has to attack. A check is something that causes the king to move. He has to move when he's checked. So the black pieces right now don't have any way of avoiding this. Their king has been directly checked. It has to move from that position, from the home position that he's occupying, which is the 8D position. So the only place where this king can go now is right here to the 7D in front of him, to occupy the place where his pawn, the first pawn that was played, the first black pawn was occupying that before in the first move for the black. So he can go there, and that's not a desirable thing in chess. Once you king, and later on we speak about one thing is called castling, where when the game is advanced, the one with the rooks, and it protected that right there. Now this king, once the king move without doing the castling, he cannot do the castle later on. He cannot move and just do it. So it's in a very serious position right now. So players that have been playing chess for a while, they avoid this condition here at the beginning of the game. This is the beginning of the game. Only 4 moves have been done, and now their king has been attacked directly by a bishop. If that attack had been done by the queen, the white king, the white queen, this attack with had been with the queen and the knight, that would have been a checkmate. Because let's put the king here instead of the bishop. Okay, put the king here where the bishop was in the 4F position, and then the white knight here. So if that had been the king, the queen attacking instead of the bishop, it would have been checkmate, because this queen come here and take the pawn that was here, and the king is checked, but it's also mate, because the only square that he can move is here, and the queen is attacking that piece there. the bishop wasn't attacking this because remember I told you that the bishop only attacking diagonals. They not attacking on the side. So then any piece that is in the diagonal they are writing, they can attack. They are in attacking mode to that diagonals. Be a white diagonal or a white, be a black diagonal or a white diagonal. But the queen as I explained before, can attack in any direction, can attack in columns, in diagonals, as well as in any other position other that she cannot attack as a knight in the L position. A piece that is in a position of a knight, in a position of L, she cannot attack. But here, she's checking the king, and the king is checkmate. The king don't have any other free square than this one here, 7D. But the 7D, the square also attacked by the queen. The queen attacking this place. So when the game is over. At that point, the game is over, and the player that saw that happening, usually they start saying, "Oh, I didn't see that. Can I take my piece back? Can I take my? Can I make another move?" That's not allowed in chess. That's cheating. So when you're playing with your sister, your little brother, or some friend that is, you allow them to. I done it before, and you allow them to do a replay. So if you allow them to do a replay of the last move, which this one did by moving that bishop here and ignoring the attacking point that the white has on this 7C square. So when that happens, when you're playing with a little brother or a friend or whatever, or somebody that is just very beginning, so you feel compassion for them and allow them to redo the move. So the blacks, instead of moving here from 2G to here, what they do is they can what they do to defend their king is move the only piece that can protect this point here. The only piece that can protect this point here will be the queen, the black king, queen. So she can come here to the 7D, and in case of the queen decided to, the white player decided to take that spot anyway where the spawn is, in case it decided to do this, the whites are in big trouble because the queen can take this piece now, and the knight's attacking the black queen, so he take her. But what happens? What happened now? The king can take that knight, come here and take that knight. So what happened now? The whites had lost two great pieces. Lost the white king and the white knight. So those pieces are officer ranking the so all the advantage that the white had with this attack there, they took that, they fell in that trap, is all they got is a pawn and a queen, the black queen. But the black had the queen and the knight. And as I explained before, I think in the first or second tutorial, all the pieces had a value, ranking, and operational military value, like the people in the army. I apologize for the shaking take of this video. So far I've been doing holding the camera in my hands instead of using the stabilizer or tripod that we use to have the camera affixed in one particular direction. So I was saying that about the openings, and later on I will probably in the next tutorial I will explain the errors that beginners in chess do in openings and later in as the game advances and moves forward. But this is pretty much what I wanted to tell you. Another thing is in openings, some beginners move this pawn here, which is in the 2F position for the whites, and they move it either right here in the 3F position, which is the square in front of the 2F, or they move it with spaces. Either case is in some ways an error, because in chess you try to protect the first of all the protection. The greatest protection is always trying to protect your king from being attacked, being checked. But the second protection offered is towards the queen, because after the king, which is the owner of the kingdom and has all the wealth of the kingdom, all the power, the queen is the second one. She have, according to U.S. law, they have 50% what the king has. So the queen got 50% of the queen. So they're very powerful, and in this case, it's nothing to do with monetary value, but in this case, it's a military value, because of the queen has all these options of moving in columns and also in rows, which other pieces don't have, and they can move in column, rows, as many spaces they need to. So this is the most valuable piece in the chess game, the queen. So when somebody moves the opening, the first piece that they're gonna move is from 2F for the whites, or 2F to the square 3F. They're opening this line here. You see this diagonal here is being opened. So black bishop can come here and start attacking. Then you have to protect it. You have to move this pawn to block the bishop from attacking, black bishop from attacking directly to your white king, your white queen. So that becomes later on messy, especially when you're playing expert in chess, or you're playing master or grandmaster. You cannot do these beginners errors, because you're gonna pay the price big time. You're gonna start losing pieces. You're gonna start simplifying the game, and later on in another tutorial I explain what simplification is in chess. We simplify the game, and use simplification. Many experts in chess, they try to eliminate as many pieces of the adversary as they can, and even when they lose pieces as well. And they try to have a minimum of pieces on the chessboard to play finals, and this is called simplification. So this opening here can be done, but it's not wise to do it in the openings. Not even for a beginner. It's good to open that thing there. Another piece that can be the common openings are just usually pawns. This pawn here in front of the king He can move one space, as I say before, or two spaces. And the reason for this is to open the bishop, the left white bishop, which is in the home position of IC, to be able to start developing the game. At the beginning, when you start the first 4 or 5 moves, you are not trying to win the game, because it's unless that case that I put before with the white knight and the white bishop attacking the position of the black pieces in 17 here. Unless it's just very beginner players that are just starting to learn the game, that doesn't happen. At the beginning of any chess game, what you try to do is start developing the game and see how the opponent is responding. And according to the response of the opponent, you start making adjustments and move other pieces. And you always try to have a plan. And some players have seen other players, have played with other players many times, and they start catching up. They start observing actually the weakness of the other players. They start observing what the other players like to play with in finals. Some players love to have final with knights. Some other players like to have final with bishops. Or some other players like to have a combination of bishop and knights and rooks. And some players love this opening here, opening with the pawn, the 3b, to have the bishop. Later on, we'll explain this. This is called the Indian opening. You put the bishop right here. That was an opening, just I guess was invented by the Indians from India. So they started the game with this. And but most of the time it's just these 2 pawns here. The one in front, the king, that is moved forward, usually 2 spaces, or this one here for the queen, the pawn in the 2e position, that is moved forward. And this is just to when this is right here and they move this pawn here. This bishop is free to get out. I'm moving the y diagonal here. The y squares are in this diagonal. Likewise, when this black bishop has the free space here, is free to move in this black diagonal here. So this is pretty much what I have for openings. As a refresh thing, knowledge, openings at the beginning, you had to do something, and you had to have openings. Two players are facing each other, and the one with the white piece had to start. So they had to have an opening to start developing the game. At this point, no strategy is done. Some players that have known the responses of other opponents in the past because they have played with them, or they have checked the way they play in championships or with other players. They start analyzing the weakness of the other one. So they try to do a game that it will be tremendously successful against the other player. So, but at the beginning, it's basically to start just getting out of the house, all these pieces here, to put in motion, opening space so they can go out and do something. So this is all for today, and we'll have another tutorial hopefully next day. Until then, be safe and be well. Okay, bye bye.